Hi, welcome to my channel. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to like, share, or subscribe, that really helps out my channel grow. I'm going to do a reading on Liza Minelli. I tried to do this reading a few days ago, and there just seemed to be a lot of technical issues, and it just wouldn't happen. So that was interesting to feel that resistance. Let's see what I pick up. I forget if she passed already. I'm just gonna Google that because, like, I'm just like, I'm curious because, like, I get this feeling of like some like pain or like pain, longing, like a kind of an emotional reaching out to like a feminine person in her life and stuff. So that makes me wonder if she's passed over. But I'm just gonna double check. Oh yeah. Okay. Right. Okay. Still good. Okay. Still living. That's nice. Okay. I just feel like I need to tread lightly a little bit because, like, she's a really beloved figure. But I'm just gonna just relax into it and just tell you what I see. Sorry, let's put my phone on silent. It's like I see like bouquets of what seems to be like white flowers, like not small ones, like the kind that would set you back like minimum 150, like to in the 150 to 300 range, depending on the florist, like quite big, like this big. I feel like she has like a very like I mean, and it's obvious if you've seen her career too, like very sparkling personality, like as a default, like no matter what kind of happens in her life, there's this like ray of, I'm not gonna say sunshine, but like sparkling, like it's more like ray of like sparkling stardust. You know, it's a really nice, unique energy that I haven't picked up on other people before. And then right alongside that, like glued to it almost, is like some darkness, like maybe darkness is attracted to the light, like it you could say in a way it like highlights, like by her having like difficulties in her life. You know, it's like seeing the stars at night, just darkness all around, and then you really see the sparkle of the stars. So while it might be very uncomfortable to live that way, to have so many trials and negative people potentially around you, makes her beauty and like her energy like even more visible and striking. I think it, like, had she had a different life, like had her mother not been famous and she was just living her life, like she would have really glowed brightly anyway, and people would have remembered her if they met her, and she would have seen kind of in a way out of place, a bit otherworldly. Like, let's say she was just working in a department store, like you'd still just go like, like, what is that energy that's uncommon? Um, and you can't quite place it because maybe not so many people have this energy about them. It's sort of like the spinning wheel on the computer. It's like you're waiting for the answer and you don't really get it, so you're like still thinking about it, like, what is that, like. I don't know if I'm getting a reference to cocaine or something, but it's like it feels like a like there's a certain amount of like, and I'm not placing it like in today, you know, like, but it's just like there's this. I'm seeing this like white powdery sort of encircled. It's, you know, like in the shape of like a rainbow but without the colors and stuff. It's like like it's there. Like so if in her lifetime she had, I mean, I'm sure, you know, what they say about celebrities and stuff like that is fairly common. Like I think like, you know, Marvin Gaye and am I correct in thinking like Lionel Richie or like people especially like in the 80s and stuff like that, like it's very common. So I just sort of feel the presence of that. And that might be just historically, but it like played a role, you know, because it's like an influence. Like you could say drugs have like personalities to them and they influence you in a certain way. So it's sort of like that, like this presence of that had like a good amount of what's the word? Influence. You know, it's like you are who you're for you are like who your five closest friends are, something like that. So like it sort of had an influence on her surroundings or just daily life, whether it's like people around her or her taking it, or you know what I mean. It's like it was present. I also feel the presence of like, um, and I get this on a bunch of celebrity readings of like managers who are taking more funds than they should be of their artists. So I feel that kind of like it's a male figure, kind of like older, and just having no qualms about like I'm just gonna take that. Like it's not funny, but it's like so kind of shocking the like little amount of like I care kind of thing in regards to that. So that would have been painful. I feel like she had a good relationship with her mom, but like she didn't have a lot of her time, maybe because she had her own career. Um, and I don't know if she had like a lot of contact with her dad, but like it just feels like very, it feels like barriers in some, just like a stop, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't know if it was like not enough time again, or like it's like the highly scheduled life where you just have like pockets and it just doesn't feel like enough. I'm just sort of working through energies as they come up, just looking at them. I feel like her relationship with Christmas is kind of difficult because it's like a lot was demanded of her in terms of like putting on a wonderful celebration or like performing, um, and kind of personifying this sort of joy, this like unbridled joy. And it's like, uh, okay, let's look at, could also be like expensive because she has like a million and one friends or like frenemies or like you know, like just so many people in her life that it was like draining, maybe financially, and also like, oh, maybe also going to parties, like the social demands and financial demands of Christmas seem to weigh heavy. Also, outfits, like maybe you'd need a new outfit for like the party circuit or more than one, like if you don't want to repeat yourself, or like there's a lot of that period of time seems to evoke like some uphill battle kind of stress. I feel like she, like, let's say she had her favorite set of silk pajamas and like sort of just curling up in the sofa and like elegantly entertaining friends at home in a casual manner, but still like looking amazing, whether it was like red velvet pajamas or just like, you know, extra. Um, but I feel like she liked that, like she liked being accepted as she was, like in a casual sense by loved ones and like close or like just slightly outside of her close circle of friends, like without having to go like to the nines. Um, I feel like, she's a very beautiful woman, like very striking eyes and like, memorable face and like, you know, um, but I feel like the pressure of other, maybe the competitiveness of other people or just like, that could be triggering, and then people would try to bring her down a notch, or like they just couldn't like let her just be like just glowing like, a supernova, like people sort of found ways to kind of squash that a bit, and like to the point where it's like she liked going out, but she like also, it was also not fun because like other women were trying to like get attention to or more than her, or like they felt it triggered competition in them. But I think because she was like born into it, it's more just like be wonderful, be big, like this is what we do, like this, everybody should be doing this. But like some people who just didn't have that like, incredible stardust kind of vibe would like find ways of like either trying to sabotage her in terms of like talk, gossip or this or that thing that would make like going out like less fun. Because it's like when you're a leader, you're alone, right? Like if you're, not everybody's maxing out, and sometimes like it's triggering for other people who have aspirations to max out, but they don't do it, then they don't want you're maxing out to remind them that they're not doing it. And then it gets into this whole thing. But like ideally everybody would just be like shining and at their best and it doesn't bother anyone. So that you can just make your incredible projects and shine and like have these, have a library of wonderful things and films and whatever that you've done, that can be cherished. It would be like Marlon Brando, who, to me doesn't seem to shrink as a person in different circumstances. It's like, you know, it would have been good, like if they could have dated or something, to have someone like that who's just like so solid in his confidence that he's right, and like I don't know if I can swear, kind of like fuck all y'all, like kind of yeah, I don't know what partners Liza Minnelli's had, but if I were to like, match make, I would put them together because like it would have been really sweet if she had some kind of like, you know, protector like that. Like, not that she needs protection, but it's like, it's there's a difference between her walking alone and being awesome and her walking next to Marlon Brando, who like they both have like their own power and energy completely sorted out, but they're like moving together, so it's like even harder to like try to sabotage that. So I feel like for her to like fully feel comfortable, it had to be like oftentimes just among close friends, or in her own wonderful home, where it's just like total freedom to express that beauty inside of her. It makes me kind of like emotional. Like, it's not my feelings, it's like I'm feeling the emotions around that. Of like how nice it would be to just express that, and like have all these wonderful ways in which to express it. And like, it's like, it's like working with people. Like, I don't like, I can understand it's not always easy to find like the best people to work with, or like, so like being alive today when we have like, phones and like they film, it's so easy to make a recording, like for entertainers and stuff. It's so much easier to like document your work, and instead of having to rent a theater and all that, like, I was gonna say all that jazz, but it's like, um you could just put it on YouTube and stuff. So it's like maybe easier, maybe she would have paved the way for, what people can do now. Like, she showed the spirit of it, which inspires other people to just go for it and be like amazing, and like loudly amazing. um and that it's like so much easier to share that with the world, instead of having to deal with like theater owners and agents and the crew, and like wait times and all that stuff, and then like the press. But it's like nowadays it's like, who cares? Like, the press isn't just like the New York Times. It's like there's so many sources of information and critique. Like, they're really not gonna make or break someone's career at this point. um I feel like she had like really close friends who she's outlived, who she misses a lot. Maybe some of them had like, their issues with substances or illness, or a mixture of the two. And it's kind of like, she has like a lot of wisdom and experience and stuff. Uh, but it could, at this stage in her life, it might be harder to like make very close friends. And like these friends that she had that were really fun, like she misses them. And like, if she's interacting with people younger than her, which is like most people, they don't really like get everything. Like, they get the like the broad stroke of it, but not the details. And really, like, she's from another time. Like, she's like a time traveler, because she was so active doing and meeting so many people. It's really like a phenomenal, the collection of experiences she's had, both personally and like experiencing in the world. I feel like people want to like take too much from her. Like, they just like, she's like a battery that like people want to take the energy from. Like there's not a lot of like giving back that she gets. I think that like this phase, the challenge is to just be like, yep, like let's say 99.9% of people are like serving like kind of some kind of negativity or limitation, but now it's time to just like say what you want, like do what you want. Like if you want to oversee a project, even if you're not showing up physically at the place, but you're like saying this is how it should be, you know, you could choose the actors, you could like really it's the time to like do whatever you want. I just want to like double check something. I want to go off on wait. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of like if I said to people like I'm gonna like make an album and tour the world and it's like people that know me would be like, really, you know, because I'm like more in my like mom zone, like not really like I rarely play out, but like in my mind it's like possible, and I kind of like no one can take that from me, and so eventually I'll just do it. But like so in her case, I feel like throw out like all the limited notions of like what's popular, like what audiences want, like who, like literally who cares? There's like legions of people who would just love like literally anything she would make, and I feel like some even if they're shorter plays or musicals or just like experiences, like the theatrical anything, these sketches, I guess is a good word. Even if they're like 5 to 15 minutes of just, you know, just her creative energy into some kind of project that is just like a shining her at her brightest. That's authentically this like uninhibited sort of stardust sparkle that she has that is limitless and is full of love and optimism and just so her, you know. So like she should, you know, it would be nice if that was happening where she was making whatever project she wants, whether it's recording an album. I know like what's his name, Jimmy Scott, like when he made an album when he was much older, it's just like that album just like makes me cry. Like it's so good, and he's just singing a lot of covers. And then like similarly, sorry, Johnny Cash, also his album that he made in his later years was just like phenomenal. Like, and there were some covers in there, and so it's that kind of thing. It's like your work right now might be just as or more incredible than what you've done before. So it's very worthwhile to do really any project you want. And I think like, and because it's like fairly achievable these days technologically to work independently or with just like, you know, if you approach a producer that has done good work with other people and is like open to letting you have carte blanche. I feel like I'm speaking directly to her, like I guess I'm saying you. Just reach out to them and go ahead and do it and just do project, you know, like do some fun projects as you want and as many as you want, and just like enjoy that sparkle that you are, because it's like so unique and such a gift to the world, which can be like a bit too drab, you know. Like if no one's shining like that, like like people need to be leaders, fearless, creative, like wonderful, so almost childlike enthusiasm, like leaders, so that uh, people know like that's a thing, like that's allowed, and like to have such a great example of it, and also like she could do stuff that she was involved in, and then like stuff she's directing and writing, and working with some people, but not tons of people, like either 5 to 15 people, like having to do with her project. There's not this need to make it an extravaganza. It doesn't have to be in a big room. It doesn't have to have a huge audience. It's just a matter of just like think of it like making stuff for the Smithsonian to put in its library, like like a bunch of stuff. And I feel like there's some link with the Metropolitan Museum of Art. They would probably have space to put on some kind of show, or like, because I know like a lot of venues are booked like sometimes years in advance. So there'd be like alternate spaces like that, like gallery stuff, or just like a nice ballroom off of like some, like there's always like a place, and so not being like, not valuing like Madison Square Garden above a side ballroom of like a nice venue like the Met, or something they call it. Yeah. And sorry. I was thinking like instead of the Met, I was gonna say the MMA because it's like Metropolitan Museum of Art, but MMA is like fighting, so it's the Met. Um, yeah, and to not to how like Martin Short and Steve Martin are like doing a project together right now? Not like don't throw the idea away of like working with other people to create a project. Like no, and also like I mean I haven't seen the show that Martin Short and Steve Martin are doing, or I understand they're getting a lot of awards or something, but like I've just seen interviews of them on talk shows, and it just seems to me that like it's like Martin Short is the flying carpet that Steve is sitting on. Like to me, like he's even like using Martin Short's jokes in front of Martin Short. It's like, what? Like it's almost like Steve Martin is like Martin Short's grandpa that he's like helping him have a last hurrah or something, like I don't know. It's like kind of a weird vibe. So like in the case of Liza Minnelli, like I don't suggest getting another celebrity in on it. It's like it's your stuff. It's like you do what you want, and you can be, you know, experimenting. Like kind of like the vibe of like I've never been to the actor studio, but like I've seen clips of people, but it's like that kind of thing where you just have this like theater workspace, and it's just a small group of people figuring it out, and she's in charge. That kind of feeling. Okay. Um, and it's kind of like everybody's negativity is kind of like this big ogre, that like a shadowy ogre that just is always there, like no matter what. And it's kind of like what I picture is her just going, giving it a big hug and just going like, I know you're here, and it's not gonna change me. like I'm still gonna be me, and I'm protected and loved, and like I know this the presence of negativity exists, but it's not gonna like change my life. Like, and just to try to have a sense of humor, just like yeah, still I'm gonna like do what I want to do and enjoy it, and like that kind of thing. Um, yeah, if she could sort of see herself as like uh, with the same seriousness of like someone like Henry Miller, it's like, well, I do good work. I'm a great artist, in this genre, and you know, I I demand and receive respect for that. And if people try to take the conversation elsewhere, that's them just wasting paper, printing, just wasting trees on like just them being negative or just just get a life. Like a lot of fans of entertainment are just like frustrated artists who couldn't get their shit together and like never made anything, so they spend all their time picking apart what other people are doing and trying to psych them out. Like, don't do that. Like, okay. So you just kind of have to like, it's like, just gotta be like Bruce Lee about it. Like, just be super grounded that those energies exist. They're doing that. They're not changing your very grounded vibe. Like, it's just like the, you know, it's like being at like a, a summer fair with like crazy rides and like different games and just like random, like just the randomness of people being like really extra. And you just like stay super grounded and in your essence and don't take it to heart. Like, it shouldn't change your authenticity and why you came here. Like, yeah, it can be hard to be like the best at something or the most exciting version of that, like, because it attracts the negativity of everybody else that can't get it together or like outshine you. And it's just like you weren't meant to dull your shine. Like, you can't fix everybody, but you can be the best version of yourself. At least you have control over that. So don't bother with, it's like the biblical quote, which I don't know exactly, but it's like, give me the wisdom to know what I can change and what I should not even bother thinking about. Whatever. Of course, it was said better than I just said it. All right. But don't feel like you even need to be that sorting house of like, what should I fix, what should I shouldn't. Like, just really focus on what is the best way to communicate my energy in through art somehow. And to be totally unself-conscious about it, because like, sometimes people's audiences aren't even born yet. Like, like, even though she does have a huge audience, like, don't stress over anything. Okay. just gonna try to look at. I'm just trying to follow like the positive threads that so I can talk about those because like I like to think of all the cool stuff that's yet to happen for her. But what I see is like these wonderful moments, and then there's sort of these people who are trying to block it or like take, profit from it, or just like to do the classic like lame uh, stuff managers and people like that do. So there might have to be some kind of like business type of thing where it's like the stuff I'm about to do, which will be very like kind of workshopy, homemade, like low cost but awesome. Has nothing to do with my manager, like or like other people getting their hands in it or guiding it in any way. So like there has to be some kind of like from the outset understanding by people like not to mess with her. Sorry. Those truck brakes like sounded like a cellular phone ring or something. Um, it's like to compare like to like Britney Spears, like she's so effervescent and awesome and like majestically like in your face awesome. And then like she had like manager people like her family like dragging her down. Like so it's like in order to really express herself, she needs to just go like find that place where she can safely do what she wants without a bunch of people in her ear or like demanding like to have a cut of something because she talked to them once or whatever. Like, there's a way to like affirm your boundaries and proceed like with confidence throughout it. Find ways of not getting taken advantage of or having people be manipulative. Okay. Um, I think if the way to avoid these pitfalls or the hurdles and stuff of other people's weird controlling need or usurping need is for her to just like start with her gratitude for all the wonderful kind of theatrical experiences she's had and just like draw a straight line from that like into the future and just sort of stick to this vibe of like creating more of that and like not letting people waver you. And like even if it's a tiny project that's just done in a small space, like a small venue, or like like a side room at the Met, or like just like a nice, elegant but smaller audience kind of space that can have like a improvised, PA system or whatever. It's still just this wonderful continuum of just like her great sparkle and doesn't need to be, a big thing that involves a bunch of people and like coordinating and all that stuff. Because it'll be documented, and just like a giant show in a stadium would be documented, a small show can be documented expertly, and it's like in a way at the end of the day they're measured like they're the same weight because like they're just both videos, you know what I mean? So it's things don't have to be on a grand scale today to be important and to be treasured for millennia, I feel like she will be remembered like literally forever in terms of like various human lives being remembered and their contributions and stuff. Like she's very, she'll be of interest to people in the future. Like seems like for a very, very long time. I'm getting like 30,000 years. Like that's like a long, long time. So like just include some other stuff that means a lot to you, even if it's just in sketch form. I mean, Picasso made paintings. He also made sketches. Everybody likes both. So you don't have to stress over like how polished something is. Even just a gesture, a few dance moves, or you know, whatever. Like still Liza Minnelli. Like it's cool. Um, okay, that's cool. I get like a vibe off after I said that. Okay, I'm just gonna try to wrap it up. I feel like if she also feels like redecorating, I don't know what her place is like right now, but I kind of feel like if she feels like redecorating, it's just the more like white theme of like interior decorating. I kind of see that as a possibility. Maybe it's already the case, but I just sort of feel like if she had a bunch of knickknacks or this or that, like memorabilia, like she could at this point give some of it to the Smithsonian or like whoever, like some reputable uh, place that would value these items, so that it's not just like left randomly to for someone else to do down the road. Like she could kind of make sure her legacy is properly uh, administered. Um, and it might be fun too. Like, and it would be an opportunity to meet like nice people. Like, I think like museum people really care about the details and value things maybe more than the average person. So it might be nice to be around like very compassionate, caring, interested people. So that might be a nice process. So then she just has like a very relaxing space that makes her feel like in the present moment instead of like living in surrounded by her past so much. And that could include like giving certain outfits, not to charity, like I think she's done a lot of charity work in her life. This is a time to like really just make sure your stuff's in the right proper museum and cared for and stuff like that. Like I feel like it should be like a selfish, creative time and because like people ask a lot of her and are draining her, so it's like at some point you have to just go like, okay, like I gave a lot in my life and now I'm gonna really honor myself and my vibe and like how I want to express that, and that's a kind of contribution too, like, and it will be less draining for her. Yeah, and it's just like staying on that continuum of like I've done wonderful things in my life and I'm going to continue to do that, and people can talk all they want. It's not going to change my uh, direction. As long as you're working on a project that's so authentically you, no matter what size, like even if it's like almost, even if it's just 7 people and like 35 people came to see it, as long as it's properly videotaped, like with the really good equipment, even if it's like a one camera setup, um, you're good. Like it happened. It's saved. And like no matter what like romantic partners meant or their influence, like her own just vibrant energy is so full of love and it's so like satisfying kind of in itself. You know, it's that kind of spiritual love that like you don't need you don't need to be like married in this kind of energy where you're married to yourself, like you've accepted this gift that God gave you, like this beautiful energy that you're working with, and it's like, you know what I mean, like it's like undefeated, you know, like, by the love lessons or whatever, you know. Okay. And just yeah, just like this peaceful elegance. Like if she's elegant, she's always been elegant. It's like still elegant, you know. Like it's like nothing diminishes that, you know, whether it's in a small venue or not, you know. Like yeah, okay. Yeah, because like people who don't have like cool projects going on, they're just like, oh, well, you know, why is this show happening here? Like, ooh, really good. You know, if you picture like Kristen Wiig's character on SNL of someone just like, you know, too questioning or too alert, like there's just too many people like that. Uh, no, like nosy, aimless kind of characters. Just even, no matter what you do, like they're gonna have something to say about it. So it's like, so you may as well do the stuff you love. They're gonna talk anyway. Like it's just like I was saying before, like just giving a hug to that like negative monster that's just always lurking around, like when you're trying to do something cool. It's just like, ah, whatever, you know. I know you're there. It's not gonna stop me. Okay, I'm just gonna try to wrap it up on a positive note. Yeah, so I feel like she could also spend time like really where if let's say she owns some property and there's a garden in it or like some trees and some flowers or something, just to really like make it just as she wants it. It's kind of like flowers are kind of bookending this reading. Um, just some way in which you could like beautify the scene just a bit more, like zhuzhing of the garden or something like that. Because like no one's gonna do that for you, make those decisions, or if you want the garden to stay a certain way in permanence, like it's on you to like make that call, like make it happen. Okay. Well, it was really beautiful to like observe her energy, and I hope you enjoyed the reading. Um, I'll talk to you later. If you guys subscribe or like tell all your friends to subscribe, that would be awesome. Okay, take care. Bye.